You're watching Eye on Africa here on France 24. I'm Julia Kim, and these are the top stories on the continent. Burundi's president promises he'll step down at the end of his term in 2020. Pierre Nkurunziza's announcement easing fears of fresh violence. Protesters in Tunisia demand an end to the dumping of dead migrants in unmarked graves. This just after dozens of migrants drowned off the country's eastern coast in the deadliest shipwreck this year. And he's just 22 years old, but basketball star Cheick Diallo is already an icon for young Malians. France 24 caught up with him on his recent trip back home. But first, Burundi's president Pierre Nkurunziza has vowed to step down when his term ends in 2020. Many had expected him to stand for 2 more terms following recent changes to the constitution. In power since 2005, Nkurunziza would have been able to rule until 2034. Well, his announcement has eased fears of fresh violence, as France 24's Maud Julien reports.
Burundi's leader had just finished celebrating changes to the constitution that would allow him to stay in office until 2034, when, to everyone's surprise, he said his mandate would end much sooner.
As visionaries of the CNDD-FDD, we informed the Burundians and the international community that we will not go against what we have promised. My mandate will end in 2020. I am committed, and I am well prepared with all my heart, all my mind, and all my strength to support a new president that we will elect in 2020.
Pierre Nkurunziza's current mandate, his third, was marred by violence. According to human rights organizations, over 1,000 people were killed during protests against his candidacy in 2015 and in reprisals that followed. Pressure from members of his own party and an international criminal court investigation into government repression could explain his change of heart. In the streets of Bujumbura, reactions are mixed.
We welcome the president's declaration. We will experience change. Staying with the same president forever causes problems. I was totally disappointed when I heard the president say he would not run again in 2020 because he is our favorite leader. We love him a lot, and we expect great projects from him in the future.
But other elements raise questions. An article in the new constitution paves the way for a referendum on the restoration of a monarchy. And in his speech announcing he would step down as president, Pierre Nkurunziza also said he would continue to watch over the country until the end of his days.
Well, earlier we spoke to freelance journalist Eloge Willy-Caneza, who's based in Nairobi. He told us more about the reaction to Nkurunziza's announcement.
Many people have been surprised, but many also received with many thanks this speech of the president of Burundi, Pierre Nkurunziza, saying that they were not really waiting for such a speech. And many people whom I talked to back home in Bujumbura said really they have been pleased but also surprised, but they received with many thanks this speech of the president of Burundi because, as you know, as he also mentioned it recently, many people said that this constitution was made in his favor and they want to remain in power until 2034.
Tunisia's Prime Minister has fired his interior minister over a migrant boat that capsized off Sfax on the eastern coast of the country. At least 74 people drowned on Sunday attempting that Mediterranean sea crossing. The incident is one of the deadliest shipwrecks so far this year. Well, protesters in Tunis have demanded authorities take more action to identify the dead. For Tunisian authorities, their identities are a complete mystery. Those who drown at sea are often buried in anonymous graves, robbing loved ones of the chance to bring home their bodies.
It would appear that the identification of these victims was linked to the color of their skin or their appearance, which is not only unacceptable but lacks dignity for someone who lost their life at sea.
A lot of people are being buried anonymously because it's too complicated to identify them in such a small window of time, but also because there's no cooperation between the Tunisian authorities and the diplomatic authorities of the migrants' country of origin. We desperately need emergency measures to be put in place so that next time this kind of tragedy occurs, we can identify the bodies of the individuals who might be migrants but still have rights.
Next, suspected Islamist extremists have killed at least 5 people with machetes in northern Mozambique. The killings took place in a village in the region of Cabo Delgado, where vast gas reserves were recently discovered. Police say in the past 2 weeks, the same militants also hacked 7 people to death and beheaded 10 others. Cabo Delgado has seen an escalation in violence since October, when the country saw its first jihadist attack. Unlike the rest of Mozambique, the north's economy has stagnated, creating fertile ground for radicalization. Ghana's entire football association has been sacked after an undercover documentary revealed bribe-taking by officials and referees. The country's information minister said the government had taken immediate steps to dissolve the GFA because of the, quote, widespread nature of the apparent rot. The video allegedly shows the GFA's president asking undercover reporters for $11 million to secure government contracts. Well, the claims have sent shockwaves across football-mad Ghana, which failed to qualify for this year's World Cup. Let's take a listen to the reaction from one sports commentator.
Yes, we had an inkling, we pay bribes and this and that, but not on this scale, not on this scale. But I will say that it represents a great opportunity for new minds, new heads to get together to rebuild Ghana football on a firm and proper foundation where we do things the right way, where we do things properly.
And finally, he's just 22 years old, but basketball player Cheick Diallo is already an icon for young Malians. Diallo is only the second person from Mali to play in the NBA alongside the likes of Anthony Davies for the New Orleans Pelicans. The youngest of 5 brothers, he hails from a small town in southwest Mali. Our correspondents caught up with him on a trip back home to see his family. Hamza Wubi, Christelle Pierre and Katerina Vitozzi report.
When Cheick Diallo comes home, it's not just a normal visit. Growing up, his family didn't have much, and his career now supports them. Not bad for a sport he only took up by accident, aged 12.
Everybody be like, oh, t'es grand, I was so tall. So I just decided, my dad talked to me, say, you know what, there's only one thing can help you, you just need to change your sport. For me, and to help my family. I tried basketball a few times, I didn't like it, and I was like, that's not for me. But my dad sacrificed a lot for me, so I have to do it.
Diallo quickly climbed the ranks. He played in the national youth team before winning a scholarship to the United States. He was just 14 and didn't speak a word of English.
I wasn't worried. He was a man. It was his destiny to travel, whether it was to the US or France. When he left, he got so much, so many things. It helped us too. The house has changed.
The little boy from Cays has certainly grown up. He won the most valuable player at his college in 2015, and now he plays for the New Orleans Pelicans in the NBA. But he's never forgotten his home, and he wants to help others achieve their dreams.
A lot of people here, they doesn't have a lot of opportunity, but as long as they all see me, I'm trying to be like a great role model for them. It's hard, but as long as I'm doing that, so people look up to me, people be like, oh, wow. It's like doing something for people, so everybody trying to follow my lead. Everybody look up to me like I'm the king,
Many Malians from here emigrate to Europe or North America, dreaming of a better life. Diallo's story has already inspired many.
He's awesome. We all want to be like him. He's a great example to follow. For everyone. For us from Cays, he's our hero. Honestly, he's a Malian hero. Because to come from Cays and to leave here and go to the States, I mean, that's a miracle.
Cheick Diallo wants his American dream to live on. He plans a long career in basketball, worthy of one of his own heroes, the great LeBron James.
Well, that's all from us. There's much more news to come. Stay tuned here on France 24.
People and Profit, presented by Stephen Carroll. Business news is not about numbers, nor percentages and statistics. Business news is about people and how we live our lives. People and Profit goes beyond numbers to analyze how the global flow of money and profits shape our world. Intelligent and accessible, the show cuts across business, economics and politics.
People and Profit, on France 24 and France24.com.